Tonight, nepotism or business as usual? Hear why students and parents are protesting a new principal appointment. Plus, Delaware commuters could be left behind. We'll tell you what's threatening rail service to the first state and what the governor is doing about it. And a small town's big tax proposal is sparking outrage. Residents and business owners say the plan comes with too little notice and too big of a price tag. Those stories and much more coming up. DETV News starts now. Hello and welcome to DETV News for this Thursday, May 22nd. I'm Matt Ford. Here's what's making headlines this week around Delaware. First up, terminally ill Delawareans now have the legal right to end their lives with a doctor-prescribed medication. This following Governor Matt Meyer's signing of House Bill 140 this week. Meyer signed the Ron Silvero-Heather Block Delaware End-of-Life Options Act, making Delaware the 12th U.S. jurisdiction to allow medical aid in dying. The law applies to mentally sound adult residents diagnosed with a terminal illness and a prognosis of 6 months or less to live. Patients must make 2 verbal requests, submit a written request with 2 witnesses, undergo waiting periods, and meet several safeguards. Prescribers can opt out, and healthcare facilities can restrict the practice.
We're acknowledging today that even in the last moments of life, compassion matters. Every Delawarean should have the right to face their final chapter with peace, dignity, and control.
The bill's passage marks the end of a decade-long push by supporters, first introduced in 2015 by then Representative Paul Bombuck. Meyer, who supported the bill throughout his campaign, said the issue is deeply personal, but believes that, quote, people should be able to make the hard choices they need to make based on their own faith. Implementation of the law is expected by January 1st of 2026, pending state regulations. And speaking of Governor Meyer, he is also urging SEPTA to preserve train service to the first state. This as proposed budget cuts threaten to end the popular Wilmington-Newark rail line. In a letter to SEPTA board members, Governor Meyer pledged to work with Pennsylvania officials to find a funding solution. He warned that cutting the service could hurt commuters and undercut the economies of both states. SEPTA's current proposal would eliminate rail service to Delaware and reduce bus routes due to budget shortfalls. The Wilmington-Newark line serves about 4,300 riders each day. SEPTA says it appreciates the governor's support, and the board will consider his feedback during their budget deliberations. A key income tax reform backed by Governor Matt Meyer may not move forward this year. House Speaker Melissa Minor Brown said Wednesday that she supports new tax brackets for high earners, but does not want to rush the process before the legislative session ends. She called for a more thorough review, possibly through a task force. Governor Matt Meyer's proposal would create 3 new tax brackets for incomes above $125,000. Now, supporters say it would make the system more fair. However, business groups oppose the plan, warning it could drive away top earners and hurt small businesses. The bill is currently in committee and has not yet been scheduled for a hearing. And Delaware's financial outlook is improving, with state revenue projections up nearly $100 million since March. The Delaware Economic and Financial Advisory Council now estimates that the state can spend up to $7.08 billion in the next fiscal year, slightly above Governor Meyer's proposed $7.01 billion budget. The current year's spending is expected to hit $6.98 billion, with higher than expected revenue from personal income and corporate taxes. Despite that boost, state officials say federal uncertainty could still impact future budgets. The Joint Finance Committee begins final budget markups next week. And speaking of budget, Sussex County has unveiled a proposed $285 million budget for the upcoming fiscal year, a nearly $20 million increase over last year, driven mainly by upgrades to county sewer systems. This budget includes raises for county employees with a 2.5% cost of living adjustment and some higher salary increases for top officials. Spending on Delaware state troopers will also rise. Realty transfer taxes remain the county's largest revenue source, while a new lower property tax rate will go into effect due to a statewide reassessment. A public hearing is scheduled for June 17th. Sussex County must finalize the budget by June 30th. Switching gears here, a New York man has pleaded guilty in a multi-million-dollar scam targeting our senior citizens, including a case here in Delaware. Federal prosecutors say 36-year-old Rakesh Kumar Patel admitted to wire fraud conspiracy after posing as a federal agent and convincing a Millsboro, Delaware woman to convert her money into gold. Investigators say Patel was part of a nationwide scheme that defrauded older victims of more than $2 million. He's currently in custody today and faces over 5 years in prison when sentenced in September. And did your phone send you a startling alert midday Wednesday? Well, here's why. An armed robbery outside the restaurant Depot in Newcastle shut down the warehouse store on Wednesday. Police say 3 armed men targeted an armored truck outside the store on Cornell Drive. A guard's gun was stolen during this robbery. Police say the suspects were last seen running toward the nearby Oakmont development. That emergency alert was sent to area residents, urging them to stay alert and call 911 with any information. As of this broadcast, those individuals have not been caught. And a 19-year-old Dagsboro man was killed and 2 others injured in a head-on crash near Millsboro on Tuesday this week. Police say the teen was driving on Hollyville Road when his car crossed into oncoming traffic and struck a Cadillac Escalade around 5:15 in the afternoon. The teen, who was not wearing a seatbelt at the time, died at the hospital. His name has not yet been released. The 2 women in the Escalade were hospitalized with non-life-threatening injuries. Police are still investigating this and ask witnesses to please come forward. Speaking of being safe on the roads, Delaware law enforcement is stepping up patrols through Memorial Day and into June as part of the national Click It or Ticket campaign. The goal is to remind drivers and passengers to buckle up, not just to avoid a ticket, but most importantly, to stay safe. State data shows that 58% of traffic deaths so far this year involved unbuckled drivers or passengers, despite a statewide seatbelt use of around 92%. The campaign runs now through June 8th. And taking a break from the headlines, let's switch gears here and get a check on the forecast for your upcoming Memorial Day weekend. We'll stay with us.
Thanks, Matt. And we've got 2 big things to focus on this week. We have started or completed all of our spring high school sports. We've got the updates for you coming up. Plus, the Tush Push is here to stay, and that's where we'll start. Yes, you heard it right. Even though Kong and Dennis are against it, the Tush Push is here. The famous interpretation of the quarterback sneak that has been so successful for the Philadelphia Eagles is here to stay for the 26th season. The Tush Push play had been under review by the NFL and put to a team owner vote this week at the spring meetings down in Minneapolis after being delayed at the meetings in March. The NFL needed 24 votes, but only got 22. As you can see, here are the 10 teams on a tweet from Adam Schefter that voted against the ban and are now being praised by the Eagles fans here in the region. So that famous play is here to stay for at least the 2026 season. So the Eagles will push on. So some big-time things there. Again, we all thought it was going to go away. It is here to stay. So now let's get to our high school playoff updates, and we're going to start with the boys volleyball bracket. So right now you're going to see that up on your screen. We're going to start with boys volleyball, and that championship game is tonight. It's going to be between Appoquinimink and Salesianum, the top 2 seeds. Salesianum is your defending state champions, so they're going to look to defend that championship against a very good Appoquinimink team who grabbed the top seed in the tournament. So again, that is going on as we speak. Your champion in boys volleyball will be crowned tonight. So from boys volleyball, let's now hop to baseball, to the diamond, as we have our baseball brackets. They are officially released. So you're going to see that on your screen, courtesy of the DIAA, your baseball bracket. But due to the weather today, all baseball matchups that were supposed to go on today will now be transferred to tomorrow. So again, you're seeing all those first round matchups, all those Thursday games will now be on Friday. Those games will be tomorrow. Your top seed, Cape Henlopen. Your number 2 seed this year, Sussex Central. Salesianum, the defending state champions, they grabbed that 4 spot. St. Mark's at 7, and then Sussex Tech 3, Dover 5, and Cesar Rodney a champion finalist last year. They get the 8 seed and get a first round bye there. So from baseball, now we are going to hop to the softball bracket. Same thing with the weather, though, as you're going to see that bracket up on your screen here. Thank you, Dennis. And again, all these games, except for 2 that were going to be played today, now played tomorrow. So there still will be 2 games still played today, but all of the rest of those matchups moved to tomorrow. So again, you take a look at the bracket there for softball. Going to be another exciting tournament this year in the DIAA softball bracket. St. Mark's, they grab your top seed, and your 2 seed this year, the Caravel Buccaneers. So you see that softball bracket on your screen. Now let's hop to boys lacrosse. Your boys lacrosse brackets for both boys and girls are coming out and have been out. So now we're going to take a look at the boys side of things first. That's where we'll start. You'll see that on your screen right now. Your DIAA boys lacrosse bracket, and it looks a little bit like this. So you have it up there for you right now. Your top seed this year, no shock, Salesianum. Your number 2 seed, another no shock, Cape Henlopen. And those 2 could be on a collision course for the state championship that is set for Saturday, May 31st. So those are your top 2 seeds. Maybe we'll get, once again, one of those championship rematches there for boys lacrosse. So from boys, now to girls. We have our girls lacrosse bracket out as well. So that's going to be up on your screen now. Again, getting through some of these playoffs here for you as we get towards the end of May. So for your girls playoff, Cape Henlopen, your top seed, Tower Hill, your 2 seed. They have 2-round byes, so they won't be playing until Wednesday, May 28th. But the rest of everybody in action there. You saw one of the finals already. Cape Henlopen over Friends, and Tower Hill got the win over Chadwell 14-6. Those 2 advanced, and now we're awaiting a few other matchups here the rest of the week. Playoff updates for those sports, but we have crowned our Division I and Division II track and field champions. So we've got our first champs of the spring. For the boys in Division I, it was the Middletown Cavaliers. What a run they had. And Division II, the St. Mark's Spartans. So Middletown and St. Mark's, your boys Division I and II track champions. And now for the girls, the Padua Pandas. They take home your Division I state title. And then Tatnall, the Hornets, they grab your Division II state crown. So champions crowned in the track and field. Now we're going to finish up with our official DIAA tennis championships. They were crowned yesterday, so these are fresh after being moved indoors due to the weather. Well, first, your team championship results there on your screen. Right there, courtesy of the DIAA. Again, they've done such a great job with social media this year. Shout out to that crew over there on Facebook. And then those are your team champions. Now, your individual tennis champions. Again, that alongside with track and field, your first crown champions of the spring. So there you have it there. Lastly, on your screen. Before we go, the DIAA golf team and individual championships, they are set for Tuesday, May 27th and Wednesday, May 28th. So again, you can look out for those next week. Congrats to all of our 2025 spring champions so far, and good luck to all those still battling it out in the playoffs. Quite some more to get to. Back to you, Matt. Going to be a fun spring.
In other headlines this week, in Newcastle County, community members are raising concerns over the hiring of Concord High School's new principal, who is also the superintendent's stepson. Earlier this month, Brandywine Superintendent Lisa Lawson appointed Jeff Lawson, her stepson, to lead the school. The job was not publicly posted, and the district says it was filled through an internal transfer process. A student-led petition calling for a transparent hiring process has gathered more than 1,100 signatures. At a recent school board meeting, students and parents voiced frustration over what they called a lack of fairness and transparency. The district says an executive team reviewed internal data before making the transfer and that the decision was not made solely by the superintendent. This matter is now expected to be reviewed by the Delaware Public Integrity Commission. Now here's a story I think we can all get behind. A new bill in the Delaware General Assembly would make financial literacy a graduation requirement for high school students here in the first state. It's House Bill number 203, and it would require schools to offer at least a half-credit financial literacy course starting with 9th graders in the 2026-2027 school year. Now, supporters say the move is critical, citing data showing most Americans live paycheck to paycheck, and many teens lack basic money management skills. The course would follow standards set by the Department of Education. And a bill to create a standalone State Department of Veterans Affairs passed unanimously in the Delaware House on Tuesday. The bill would establish a cabinet-level secretary and at least 4 other positions, separating veterans services from the Department of State by the year 2030. Supporters say veterans need a dedicated voice and better access to resources. Delaware has about 70,000 veterans and receives roughly $4 billion annually in federal veterans funding. The bill now heads to the state Senate for consideration. To Camden, Delaware now, where a proposed budget that would sharply raise property taxes is drawing backlash from residents and business owners alike. The $3.6 million plan would increase residential property taxes by 46% and, get this, commercial taxes by a whopping 87%. Well, former Camden Mayor Justin King says the hike is just too steep and too sudden, warning it could hurt families and local businesses that are already struggling. Well, current Mayor Larry Daugherty says the increase is overdue, noting that Camden hasn't raised taxes since the year 2011. He says the extra revenue is critical to fund essential services like policing. A final vote on the budget is set for June 2nd. If approved, the new tax rates would take effect on July 1st. Further south now, Dewey Beach is cracking down on jaywalking ahead of the busy summer season, and a ticket will cost you $50. Town officials say stricter enforcement is the final step in improving pedestrian safety, especially with Memorial Day crowds expected to top 30,000 this weekend. The town has already upgraded safety features, including lowering crosswalk lights, adding signs, and installing a digital message board at the entrance of the beach town. Officials say the goal is to prevent accidents and keep both locals and visitors safe on Dewey's busy roads. Before we leave you tonight, former Eagles star and Delaware State head football coach Deshaun Jackson is launching a series of youth football camps in Dover starting May 30th. The camps, hosted at Alumni Stadium, will run through mid-July and are led by Jackson and DSU staff. The first session is for kids ages 5 to 13. A second camp is June 7th for high school athletes and will include drills and evaluations in front of college scouts from top programs like Syracuse, Maryland, and Colorado. A final camp on July 11th will feature 7-on-7 games and lineman challenges for high school teams. Just as a reminder, you may remember Jackson was hired by DSU in January and is considered one of the top receivers in Philadelphia Eagles history. Registration deadlines are available on the DSU camp website. Sounds pretty cool. And that wraps up this week's DETV News and Review. Be sure to follow us all across your favorite social media platforms for more on what's happening all around Delaware. And if you have a comment, question, news, or sports tip, send it to press@detvch.com. For all of us here at DETV, I'm Matt Ford. Have a wonderful and safe Memorial Day weekend. We'll see you again next time. Good night. We don't talk about prostate cancer enough, and it's the most diagnosed form of cancer and the second most common cause of cancer death among Black men in both Delaware and the United States. Approximately 1 in 8 men will be diagnosed with prostate cancer in their lifetime, but just by asking your healthcare provider if you should get a screening could help you detect prostate cancer early and save your life. So let's talk about it. Talk to your healthcare provider today about a prostate cancer screening if you are 40 years of age or older, or have a family history of prostate cancer. If you don't have insurance, or if your insurance doesn't pay for cancer screenings, Screening for Life may provide you with the screenings that you need, and Nurse Navigators make this process easier. To learn more, visit healthydelaware.org/prostate or call 211. Ask your healthcare provider about a prostate cancer screening, and you're asking for so much more.
My name is Jason Aviles, and I am the founder and owner of Fly Yogi, and I'm here to share with you some tips to be able to help fight opioid addiction. Opioid addiction is a real growing problem here in America, and I'm here to share with you some tips that you can be able to integrate into your everyday life to really fight against opioid addiction. One of the first things is redeveloping your mindset. One of the practices that I like to use daily is meditation. And what meditation does is it brings you clarity of mind, and it helps keep you grounded, and it improves your ability to make decisions that you are going to benefit from. A lot of the time we find that addiction is rooted in our mindset. It's rooted in how we think and how we perceive, and therefore how we act. So this is a really good way to help fight against that energy of addiction. The second thing is improving your lifestyle through diet and exercise. At the very root of addiction, there is substances within the body that's causing the addiction on a physical level. When we begin to introduce healthier foods, plant-based foods, we begin to remove and detox the substances that are in our body that's causing and attracting the addiction. So through incorporating more fresh fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, grains, and even drinking water on a daily basis, you're going to put your body in a state where it's going to be able to fight the root causes of these addictions. The second part is exercise. Exercise is good for mood. It's good for energy. It's good to increase vitality. It's good to get your heart pumping and get your blood flowing and get oxygen moving throughout the body. So through engaging in physical exercise, complemented by incorporating healthier foods, you're putting your body and your mind in a state where it does not want what's causing these things that are manifesting negatively in your life. So addiction can really be decreased by just incorporating a healthier lifestyle through diet and nutrition, exercise, and then also making sure that you're tackling the mind through mindset, through meditation.